All right. Want to talk about something positive this week. Was going through my list of stuff I've watched and was kind of like, well, I'd like to do the card game anime stuff all together. Still got to get finished on Kimi no Todoke, and Sengoku Yoka is still going. So what can we do? And then it kind of hit me. In all my years of reviewing anime and doing an end of the year top 10 list, I've always put My Hero Academia on it, but I've never actually really talked about My Hero or why I really like it in its own dedicated video. So I figured, let's do that. I'm not going to do a whole big series overview. That would just be insane. I'm just going to talk about season 7, what I liked, what I didn't like. I'm not going to go like big into the outside influences like the manga or the general public reaction. Just my opinions on the season. It's going to be super informal. We're going to do this like I do the Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the Card Fight Vanguard videos. Just kind of talk about the points as it comes to me. I've got season 7 up here on the wiki, and we're just going to kind of go through it. Let's have some fun. This is not a serious video. This is not another one of my big commentaries on the state of battle shonen. I just want to talk about the last of the generic cookie cutter battle shonen I enjoy. So let's get right on into it. So season 7 opens with 4 episodes of recap. This was bullshit. I don't know if this season had some really great fights and animation. So I don't know if just trying to allocate the teams resulted in just 4 weeks of dead time they had to fill, or if so much of their staff got ruined doing Metallic Rouge that they just didn't know what to do till they got everyone back on track. It's just recap. I didn't like it. I'd rather it not be there. I hated having to it wasted time on my Crunchyroll feed, which that's really what I'm all about. Just getting that fucking feed empty for once in my life. So then we move on to the Star and Stripe arc. This was really weird. So the big sort of point of this arc, when you really think about it, is that Shigaraki is basically a god. He's pretty unbeatable, and really there's no easy way to fight a character who just has every power and is just that unstoppable. So you need someone who can come in and nerf him, which effectively is what you do as you have a character who has this really I don't know if I totally understood how her quirk worked, but the basic gist is that she has the ability to, I guess, mess with reality, or it's not important. Basically, we introduced the #1 hero of America, Star and Stripes, who proceeds to sacrifice herself in order to weaken Shigaraki enough for Midoriya to fight him. And it's just who is this person? Where did she come from? Why is she here? Why does she get to be the one who makes the big sacrifice play instead of anyone else? And yeah, that's really weird, and I don't really feel anything for her. But I will say they do a good job of showing the emotion on everyone around her. And I think that kind of does give it some weight. Also, I think the idea is interesting of showing how the rest of the world, the governments of the world, will do what they always do. In times of panic, in times of seriousness, they'll hide away in their little hole and just hope the situation will blow over and they can continue to be in power, where it is up to individuals to rise to the occasion and do what needs to be done. I think that is good and important. I just wish it was with someone I cared about as opposed to this woman. But yeah, moving on. Next we have the UA Trader arc. This is, I think, where things get pretty fucking interesting. So, my biggest problem with My Hero Academia has been and always will be, there's just way too many fucking characters. All of Class 1A, just constantly trying to be shoehorned into whatever plot elements they can, into whatever aspects of the show they can. It has, in my opinion, resulted in a ton of uneven pacing. It has resulted in a bunch of characters who just come in and out. And most importantly, it has resulted in more important characters who should get big roles being put to the wayside so that way a minor character can justify their existence. Case in point, characters like Uraka and Ida, who were built up early on as being super important, as being the love interest and best friend respectively, basically get pushed to the side so that way each character can have their individual moment when you could have used that to build them up earlier. Having said all this, I think this works very fucking well. What really works about this, in my opinion, is by choosing someone random, someone you wouldn't suspect, someone unimportant, it makes the shock of the situation hit you. It also makes kind of like the paranoia of it fit. Like, it could be anyone. All for One could get to any individual, figure out the right string to pull, and manipulate them. It makes him seem intelligent, and it makes the situation have this level of direness to him. And also, they do a good job of making you care about Yuga. Yuga is probably one of the 1A characters I've cared about the least over the course of the show. He's never really done anything or served any great purpose, but giving him such a strong moment here, seeing him break down and watch as every ideal and belief he had is taken away from him as he learns his role to play in this just fucked up scenario, I think is really strong. And seeing what the pressure of parents, what the pressure of society can do to him, I think is a very good moment. And it doesn't just end there. Toru, another character I've never really thought twice about, getting this strong moment where we see what she truly looks like as she puts her heart on the table to help Yuga from making a bad situation worse, I think is really strong. Their performances are strong. The animation's really good. I think this is what My Hero Academia can do at its best, and is probably why this is the one battle shonen I can still kind of enjoy, because I feel like this is the one that puts character and character development above all else. So, yeah, and I think it kind of then flows very organically into what happens next. Yuga is All for One's trump card, and so therefore, by our heroes figuring out what to do with him, they're then able to then set up a plan and a counterattack. And fuck it. For as dumb and silly as these kinds of shows are, there's always just going to be something cathartically entertaining about watching all our heroes show up to move in for the big final fight that takes up the rest of the season. And man, is it long, and will also be like the first half of the majority of the final season. How do you even, we're getting kind of low on time here, so where do you even begin with this? Here's what I will say. I think all the stuff with Todoroki and the brother is good. I, like many people, don't like the attempt to redeem Endeavor, considering how unethically horrible he was, but if you look at it from the perspective of what it means to Todoroki, I think it kind of works. I don't think it works entirely because, again, Endeavor is just fucking horrible, but I think it's good enough. And the animation on Todoroki's big final attack and how they end up beating Dabi, I think is really fucking pretty and pretty cool. Other big things of note would obviously have to be Uraka and Toka's, I can't even remember at this point. Their big fight. This is another thing in the show that I thought was kind of weak, again, because you don't do a lot with Uraka up until now. But yeah, I think this kind of works. I sort of like this interesting notion with all My Hero villains, is that a lot of people said at first when comparing to something like One Punch Man, the world feels very cookie cutter, very simple, very ignorant by comparison because how it treats everything. But I think what it really led to was this idea that the villains in this world are because this society thinks it's so noble, so heroic, so upright. And that's where it failed them, because no one was there to take the time to understand Toga's quirk and help her through it. No one was there to stop the just typical evolution of human bigotry against people whose quirks make them look monstrous, right? Like the lizard guy or the one hero dude with the crazy arm wing things. That was also really fucking strong, despite being a character I had no interest in. Like the idea that this is a world that fails its people because they cannot live to its standard of what is a hero, what it means to be strong. Effectively, that the world will never actually change just because we have superheroes, and this societal failing will keep hurting people and resulting in people like Toka, like Shigaraki, The idea that the League of Villains were not just generic bad guys, but people who had nowhere to go, people who felt like life failed them and cheated them and betrayed them. That's what then brought them together and what led to all this. That their anger and hatred for society built the more they formed with each other, and it allowed for someone like All for One to sort of aim them in his just general direction of evil and bad shit. So, yes, I think a lot of it is very strong, even if the foundation, I think, could have been established better. Uh, Anything else of note I want to cover right before we wrap up? I mean, the stuff with Midoriya and Shigaraki and Bakugo and all that, it's good, but it's very by the numbers shonen. But yeah, all in all, the fight is really cool. I sort of like the weird body horror. Shigaraki is like, just all these hands and shit coming everywhere. That's actually pretty cool. Seeing the way it brings back other characters and other plot points and how it utilizes quirks is always a lot of fun. And I do want to see where this goes and where it's going to wrap up. I'm not going to like use the internet to spoil everything. I want to see where this story that I've been following for over half a decade at this point is going and how it wraps up. But what did you think? In the comment section below, tell me your highlights about season 7, what you liked, what you didn't like. Do you love My Hero? Did you give up on My Hero? Do you think I'm a hypocrite for saying I enjoy this but hate whatever thing you like? Tell me that in the comment section below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next time when it's time to talk about some card game anime.